We hope you enjoy The Magicians, The Other Man's Shoes by Rachel Lawson. You have life easy lording over everyone and thing, shouted Prince Alexandrite, the grandson of the Emperor of the Universe whom he was shouting at. Quit it, boy, moaned the Emperor, who had a splitting migraine from his hectic day negotiating with warring alien delegates. Honestly, you have it easy, moaned Fred, the Emperor. Can you stop arguing with yourself, Dad? Said Fred and Alexandrite's son, storming into the room and shouting at the arguing time traveller, Fred and Alexandrite. Why? Asked Fred, not relishing starting another argument with his painful head. You are disturbing the ball guests, snapped back their son, Lakelandite, glaring at them. Can they hear us? Asked Alexandrite. You two could wake up the dead, said Lakelandite. Fred rolled his eyes. They were necromancers and grim reapers. They could wake up the dead easy. Not funny, boy, said Alexandrite, also unamused. Lakelandite was grinning at his joke. Haven't you got someone to kill? Alexandrite said, frowning. Stop judging me, replied Lakelandite, who was fate's hitman seen as a serial killer by the rest of the world. But his father knew better than to think him a serial killer killing at random. It's my job, laughed Alexandrite, the judge of the dead. Go judge a corpse, replied Lakelandite to Alexandrite, whose day job was a coroner. Alexandrite sneered. Fred stifled back a laugh. Alexandrite noticed he glared at Fred for it. Fred looked ashamed. Sorry, Blake, said Fred, using Alexandrite's human name. You take me for granted too much, Fred, Alexandrite said to his elder time-travelling self, Fred. You do? What about me? Am I chopped liver? Asked Fred, feeling hurt being told that. Oh, trade places and get it over with you are the same man. No one will know the difference, snapped back Lakelandite, fed up with their bickering. The time-travellers glared at their son and thought for a moment and looked at each other. I have a beard, said Alexandrite. My God. Shave, said Lakelandite, rolling his eyes. I don't have a beard, moaned Fred. Change your appearance, enchantment. You are a sorcerer. Do I have to pose as both of you? Said Lakelandite, who changed into Alexandrite. Won't Anna know the difference? Said Alexandrite of his and Fred's wife. I'm not going there, said Lakelandite, going slightly green as he left them to find a place to throw up. He has a point, said Fred. Yes, you look good with a beard, chuckled Alexandrite. Oh, quit it, Blake, moaned the immortal, eternally 25 Fred, embarrassed. I hate beards. Well, will you trade places with me? Asked Alexandrite. Okay, for a day, said Fred. Okay, let's swap diaries of what to do, said Alexandrite. Yes, Fred agreed. Later in the afterlife, Fred sat listening to his favourite band, Coldplay, a little too loudly when his son walked into his office in his Reaper form to talk, not enjoying the music. Why is your phone making noises, Necromancer? Asked the king of the Grim Reapers, who was listening to music loudly on his mobile phone. His son, another Reaper, was holding his phone, which was beeping loudly. Lakelandite, the Necromancer, looked at his phone. It says the sound is 90 decibels. 30 minutes at that level will make you deaf, said the son. You better turn it down, Dad. I'm already deaf, moaned the father, turning off his music in a hissy fit. Lakelandite was happy the noise was off. Not death. Deaf, you old corpse. Fred felt awkward. What do you want? Asked Fred. I was wondering how you were going, said Lakelandite. Fine, lied Fred, who was overwhelmed because he was swamped with work, which was why he started listening to the music. If you need help, Gramps remember just asked me, said Lakelandite. You know it's me, said Fred, who didn't know Lakelandite recognized him. Hard not to, said Lakelandite. Am I that obvious? Asked Fred nervously. No, I recognize the phone. You have a black phone. Dad's phone is blue, said Lakelandite. Oh, forgot that, said Fred, hiding away his phone in the pocket of the black shirt he was wearing. I'll leave you to your work. You have a lot of work to do, it looks like. Have fun, said Lakelandite, leaving the room. Fred moaned and stared at it, wondering how Alexandrite stayed sane with it. Later, Fred went to Blake's home where he met his wife, who Fred was looking forward to seeing. He was planning a romantic night at home. "Hi, my angel," said Fred, who was tired after a busy day signing and judging. "Hi, honey," said his wife Angela, or Anatasi, smiling. She knew who he was. "How was your day as Blake, Fred?" she asked. "Harder than I thought it would be. I did his magic act at his theatre, and did reaper duties and judged 300 souls, and signed so many papers in my hand is killing me," moaned Fred. "I wonder how Blake's going," pondered Anna curiously. "Forget about him. The night is wonderful tonight," said Fred, her other husband. "Is it?" said Anna, who hadn't noticed. Fred and Anna nervously ventured into their wild backyard jungle, hoping not to be caught by grim reapers who were on their way to the afterlife world, which was in their backyard too. Fred, shirtless, and Anna, in a red gown, were sneaking into their large backyard. They felt very romantic, and the moon was teasing at their hearts, calling them outside into the moonlight. Their hearts felt wild as the garden. They could seldom be together at night. Soon as they found a quiet place to sit together, their passions overwhelmed them, as they sat, embracing passionately. Anna's black hair shined like silver in the moonlight, and Fred's form looked athletic and perfect as they kissed. There was a strange noise. The lovers turned to see what it was. Fred and Anna nervously stood up, embarrassed. "I'll never get the sight of you two like that out of my head," shouted Lakelandite, their son, disgustedly. "How on earth did you think you were born?" asked Fred. Lakelandite threw up again. Anna looked humiliated, being caught by her stepson with his father. She felt like a bad parent. "What do you want, boy?" asked the Emperor of the Universe. "I want a planet named after me," joked Lakelandite, trying to forget what he just saw. "Oh? Really? Who'd want to live on a planet called Necromancer, boy?" Fred said seriously. "You have a son named after you, boy. You don't need a planet. Morgan sent me to fetch you. You are needed." "My other dad keeps falling asleep in the summit," said Lakelandite seriously. "I better bail him out." "Bye, my angel," said Fred, being led away by their son after they all bade each other good luck and goodbye. Fred changed in his house for work and got a lift to the summit to save his younger time-traveling self, who was posing as him. Blake left the room under the pretense of visiting the men's room. The delegates at the summit were mocking the Emperor for falling asleep in a boring speech, and Morganite, the Prime Minister of the Universe, Anna and Fred's son, was trying, actually failing, to regain control of the situation. Fred and Blake changed clothes with each other, Blake being told off for making them a laughingstock. Blake left the summit to go home to Anna, and Fred took Blake's place in the summit, regaining control easily. The next day, Fred posed as Blake in his day job as coroner in the morgue. Anna, who was an assistant coroner, asked if he needed help. He said no, thinking his job was like riding a bike. Once learned, you can do forever. He couldn't have been more wrong. She was nervous, but she let him try to do Blake's job. He put a cadaver on a morgue slab for autopsy. He picked up a scalpel and took in a deep breath and cut the cadaver, and it squirted blood in his face. Fred panicked, wiping his face with the sleeve of Blake's white lab coat. "Anna!" Fred cried as he ran to a nearby sink, which he threw up in. He was scared and panicking. Anna walked up to him, worried. She hugged him comfortingly, ignoring the blood. Into the room walked another coroner, a man who was frowning at the bleeding cadaver. "Blake, what are you doing?" said Dante, Blake's assistant. "He's not well, Dante. Leave him alone," Anna said defensively. "This is impossible. He can't bleed like that. It is magic," said Dante. "Tempest is playing another practical joke, I think," Anna said. Fred was too shaken to do anything but call for Blake, who materialized out of thin air. He was dressed in Fred's imperial costume. He looked as distressed as Fred. He saw Dante. "Hi, I wanted to see you," said Blake. "I quit. I can't be you," Fred said to Blake, handing over his glasses to him. Me too. I nearly started an intergalactic war. Morgan, the intergalactic Prime Minister, asked me to get you. He's trying to defuse it, said Blake. What's this? Asked Dante. Gramps and I traded places, confessed Blake. You traded places whatever for. That is unethical. He can't work here, snapped Dante. I was a doctor, said Fred, still in shock. You don't work here, said Dante. Go save your empire. I'll deal with the usurper. I have to talk to him about responsibility, said Dante. Timekeeper, behave, shouted Dante at Blake's son, Tempus, the timekeeper who was a dimension away watching them. The blood stopped streaming. Angela, can you mop that up? Asked Dante. Anna walked off to get a mop and bucket to clean up the mess. Fred removed his lab coat and changed his appearance back to looking like himself. The Emperor left Blake to be lectured by his assistant. Fred diffused the war. He and Blake returned to living their own timelines with more respect for each other.